I'm not a public speaker like Mr. Bullock. For 50 years, I've been known as Pappy the Plaster. I drove drunk for 20 years, every day. In 1991, I wanted sober so bad, but I didn't know what living sober was like. I knew what alcoholism was like, and I didn't want that. So I joined AA. I got a 31-year chip here. But back in 91, I wanted sobriety like my next breath. And in the back of the AA book, written in the 30s, there was a lady said, even if you don't believe in God, pray for your enemies. It works. Well, I wasn't a godly man. I didn't believe in God. But I wanted sobriety. And they closed the AA meeting with the Lord's Prayer. You know, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those. Eventually, I read it in the Bible, in Matthew. And after he taught him that prayer, he says, if you can't forgive those that have wronged you, the Father can't forgive you. So, as an experiment, I started praying for a guy that was trying to kill me or put me in the hospital. And this load lifted. It was crazy. Anyhow, a few years later, a contractor in Duchesne did something horrible to me. I mean, just horrible. We called each other names face to face, and when I left, my family went hungry for a while. But I prayed for this guy all the way home. And the old drunk me would have wanted to get revenge, like sugar in the gas tank or brick through the windshield or something. But the next time I saw the old guy, I called him sir and treated him with respect. His son called me to see if I would bid on a job, and I said, are you crazy? Don't you know who I am, what your daddy did to me? I can't work for him, but I'm going to pray for him. So anyhow, about a year later, the biggest money job I ever got, I got from that guy. Somebody come to him and he said, hey, who does the best stucco work? And he said, old Pappy over there in Vernal. The biggest money job I ever did in my 50-year career was stucco in houses on the Indian reservation, HUD houses. And in 1994, right when that Sherman, Gorman, Bigelow cattle mutilation was all going on, I stuck with the house right next door. Right next door. As you're coming in from the east, the last house before you hit the gate of the Skinwalker Ranch, there's a house on the left side of the road. And I stuck with that, and I brought my kids to work with me. And I said, listen kids, we're not in the United States of America anymore. So you gotta be real careful. We're Indians, we got Indian permission. But be careful, because the same laws don't apply here as apply where we live. So they said, I got an 8-year-old son and a 10 or 11-year-old, one of my twin daughters, said, Daddy, can we go hike up that mountain over there? Just across the street, maybe a quarter mile or half a mile from that Skinwalker gate, there's a mountain that has a ridge line and a serpentine trail going up. And that's where the kids went. And when they come down the hill, I was busy working, and I seen them come down, and I keep working, and the little boy says, Daddy, gotta show you what I got here. He had a handful. He couldn't fit any more. He had a handful of gold and silver. It was not antique, it was not bullion, it was fancy gold and silver jewelry, real heavy. I said, good Lord, if it would have been anywhere else, any other time, hallelujah, you found a treasure. But this time you better put that in your pocket and make sure nobody's looking. You need to go back up that trail, try and find the rock, and lay it back down. At the time, I didn't know the Skinwalker Ranch or the path of the Skinwalker. I knew the Indian graveyards had a lot of sparklies and a lot of whirlwinds, and I just assumed that it was some kind of offering to something other. And that's what I believe today, is it was a peace offering to just leave me alone. Anyhow, the real treasure is to walk with God. The real treasure is to be an honest man and go to work and earn your silver and gold. I was the one that asked the question last night about the 7,000 $20 gold pieces that the Indians got drunk and gambled, and I wondered if anybody had ever gone and searched the area. I've been real curious about going over that area with a metal detector. Not because I want the Indian money or anything, it would just be a historic, interesting thing. So years later, the manager of the Skinwalker Ranch wanted to meet me. He bought me lunch at the bowling alley, and I told him that same story about the boy with the handful of silver, and we've been friends ever since. Whenever he goes to the airport in Vernal to get somebody, he stops by my house. But they hold their cards real close. I never really know what's going on or why they're doing anything. He was picking up, he was going to the airport to meet General Petraeus, the ex-CIA chief. He wouldn't tell me what he was picking him up for, except it had something to do with the railroad they're wanting in. And I think that about fills up my 5 minutes.